Why do you think that they wish to gerrymander the lines in Texas, the state with more black people than any other state in the union, while simultaneously Texas is suing to get rid of the black vote? Why do you think those two are simultaneously happening? Welcome to the Think Tank, where we use creative thinking, deductive reasoning, just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased logical conclusions. Today I'm back again with my co-host, the Honorable Dion Powell. Dion, would you like to introduce yourself?
Whip this out again. This is the Bronx Conservative Party District Leader Dion Powell, back in the saddle here in the States. Pro America First, MAGA, Black Lives MAGA, consultant, community leader, here to give you the point of view that you probably won't hear much, but you love to hear because it's against the grain.
All right. Well, today's show is about Trump elections and the inside of GOP fighting, which isn't as bad as the mainstream media makes it look. But they're going to take any chink in armor that they can get, and right now they need all the help they can get. I don't trust the mainstream media to report accurately. I don't care which side it's on. When it's the left, we're hearing about everything but the important stuff. When it's the right, you're hearing about stuff, everything but the important stuff. On the left, it's they're not mentioning Ghislaine Maxwell anymore. They're letting that fall out of the news, even though MAGA really wants to know what's going on the right. They're not mentioning Ghislaine Maxwell anymore. They are trying to push the Russia hoax, which is it a hoax? We'll get into that. Right now, we're going to talk about election disputes. This is a very serious topic. Let's begin with the fact that you just said that counting ballots by hand is faster than tallying on a computer. I've heard multiple claims from Trump about this, including how it takes so long to certify. When in actuality, didn't he get certified the same night? Isn't it the electronic vote certifying the same night? So these claims are false. They're lies. They're not true. He claims that the technology for what did he call those votes? I do not recall, but these beautiful he wants to kill mail-in ballots. Like, all right, so if you're in the military and you're overseas, the only way you can vote is mail-in ballots. So mail-in people won't be able to mail in. He wants to kill the for the elderly who can't stand on long lines. He wants to kill that. He wants to start sending in the military to blue states. Some speculate that the possibility is he wants to do it to intimidate people to keep them away from the polls to control voting.
Pure
They're
speculation.
trying they're trying to redistrict in Texas. California has responded in kind to redistrict, and JD Vance went to Illinois. I believe it wasn't Illinois. Where did he go? Massive. We know. I can't remember. He JD Vance went to another state to attempt to continue the redistricting efforts. So they're trying to gerrymander. There's something called the Voters' Rights Act,
Oh, God.
which is the okay. So in Section 5 of the Voters' Rights Act, Department of Justice. So this is from the Department of Justice. This is called the Shelby County decision. This
Mhm.
is about Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. On June 25th, 2013, the United States Supreme Court held that it is unconstitutional to use the coverage formula in Section 4B of the Voting Rights Act to determine which jurisdictions are subject to the pre-clearance requirement of Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act in Shelby County versus Holder, 570 U.S. 529 in 2013. The Supreme Court did not rule on the constitutionality of Section 5 itself. The effect of the Shelby County decision is that the jurisdictions identified by the coverage formula in Section 4B no longer need to seek pre-clearance for their new voting changes, unless they are covered by a separate court order entered under Section 3 of the Voting Rights Act. What does all that mean? What is Section 5 of the Voters' Rights Act?
Yes, please tell us.
Section 5 was enacted to freeze changes in election practices or procedures in covered jurisdictions until the new procedures have been determined. That's not telling what it is. That's judicial review, administration, voting changes. So this is the fact that they struck down Section 5. But what is Section 5? Voting changes that have not been reviewed under Section 5 are legally unenforceable. Okay, so they can't enforce things under Section 5. Section 5 applies to all or part of 15 states, which are all often called covered jurisdictions. These covered jurisdictions have a long history of entrenched discrimination in voting. And that's what Section 5 covers. These covered jurisdictions have a long history of entrenched discrimination in voting. Jurisdictions that have complied with the Voting Rights Act for 10 years can bail out of coverage. So who was covered? Oh my gosh, there's a map. That's Mississippi, right? Texas, Arizona. I can't see what this is, and I don't know what LA is. What is LA?
Louisiana, my friend.
Thank you. And I can't see what this, it's covering my screen.
Barbados.
Arkansas.
Alaska.
That's Alaska? Oh, wow, it would be Alaska. Arkansas is up here.
Alaska?
The Arkansas is here. So, no, I just got this thing. Oh, you can't see what the problem is. Okay, so these are states that are fully covered because they were entrenched in discrimination when it came to voting. That was struck down in 2013. So it protected the voters' rights of people of color and beyond in states that had history of voter discrimination. That's gone. That's already gone. That's it. That's gone. So what we're left is Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act, which is currently on the docket to be discussed. Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act prohibits discriminatory voting practices that deny or restrict the right to vote based on race, color, or membership in a language minority group. What does that mean? That means this protects you if you're a person of color, black or brown, period. Section 2 protects from race discrimination. Why would the administration want to bring this to court? Why would they want it possible to discriminate against people? Because that means, so here's how the law works. Now, I think I should mention that this is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Ugh.
So here's the thing. If there's a law on the books and you break that law, you've broken the law. But if there's no law, then when you do it, you haven't broken the law. It might be unconscionable. It might be unethical, but it's not against the law unless there's a law for it. The only law that protects minorities from discrimination in voting is the Voters' Rights Act. That's why it was put together. That's what Martin Luther King marched for. That's what Malcolm X died for. So that the ballot of the bullet. This is what our civil rights era leaders fought and died for. The right to vote is an indispensable part of our liberties in this country. They are voting to take away the only right we have as minorities to vote. That's what's happening. Along with, and the reason they're doing it, the reason that they're giving to do it is because they're saying, well, with this, we would not be able to do things like redistrict black people out of Texas. Now, why would black people being redistricted out of Texas be so monumental? There's what, 50 states, something like that? Out of all of the states of the Union, every state in the United States, do you know what state has the most black people? Texas. The second largest state in the country has the most black people. And they want to take away all the black votes there. Yes, California is responding in kind. They want to take away voting capabilities for the state with the most black people from black people. They want us to not be able to vote where we have the largest population. So, as a black MAGA representative, what is your theory on why they would want to take away the power of black people to vote?
Well, I would say that's pure entertainment kind of conjecture. And that's not true at all. Because the point I keep pressing home is that, hey, it all has to do with the lines being redrawn for the representation. So now the lines are drawn in such a way that all the massive pockets of black people that are registered as Democrats, they're more likely going to be able to put black Democrats to win. But if the lines are drawn differently, where there are more registered Republicans in these pockets of lines, then maybe a black Republican could win in that kind of different seat that's being withdrawn. Understand?
I comprehend what you're saying. You did not answer the question. They are not they are not redrawing the lines to they're redrawing. Oh wow,
You're talking about voting. My
redrawing
point, this
the
has nothing to do with voting. My point is what you're talking about has nothing to do with voting or
but
voting.
taking away they're having court to take away the ability for black people to vote, the protection as a black person to vote. That's what's on the docket in court as we speak. They are literally in court trying to argue that black people shouldn't have the right to vote. That's what that VRA means. That's what it means. That's the definition of it. There's okay.
There's
So would you
nothing,
like
they're
to?
not doing anything to obstruct black people from voting, like having to pass a
They're
tax.
taking away the rights of black people to vote.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Like
How do you
what have
spin?
I
How
done?
do you spin taking a law? How do you spin taking the law that protects black people and gives us the ability to vote? How do you spin that? It's our ability to vote. Without it, we can't vote. We don't have the right to vote. They want to take away our right to vote because that's what the VRA is, the right to vote. How do you spin that in any direction other
The
than they're
Voting
taking
Rights
away the
Act is
law that
the Voting Rights Act is to help us to vote if there's anything to prevent us from voting or obscuring us to vote, like paying a tax to vote, like having to take a reading test to vote, like to count how many marbles are in a jar to vote. That's what the Voting Rights Act is to. It's like a labor law, like a labor act to prevent us to have certain workers' rights. Understand? We have the right to work, but there's certain protections to help us to keep our jobs. So we have the right to vote regardless of the Voting Rights Act. It's just that this is there to prevent any kind of problem we may have in trying to vote. Understand? But this is about redistricting. The main thing was redistricting and reapportionment. That was the overall thing. But now they're trying to skew it with Voting Rights Act to blow the whistle of racism. So the doggies of Democrats, oh no, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. So that's what's happening here. Black people are not being prevented anything to vote in Texas. They're just redrawing the lines for representation based on political party of registered voters. Understand? They're putting more Republicans with Republicans and Democrats with Democrats and make sure everybody's equally regulated by lines. but more likely
Equally
Republicans will
regulating.
win.
He said that.
But people can still go to the
You
ballot box and still vote for a Democrat if they want to. Understand?
so then let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Generally speaking, states don't redistrict, gerrymander, call it what you want, in middle of the decade. They generally take the census and redistrict, gerrymander, whatever, at the beginning of the decade. Why is it that with Trump's poll numbers plummeting, Republicans somehow being lower than Democrats, who are lower than any time in history, but still somehow ahead of Trump at this point? God knows we're in trouble. And which party are you with? Boo. How is it? Why do you think that they wish to gerrymander the lines in Texas, the state with more black people than any other state in the union, while simultaneously Texas is suing to get rid of the black vote? Why do you think those two are simultaneously happening? Do you think that that's a mere coincidence as we plunge toward the midterm elections?
Democrat states and actually put red states like us at a disadvantage. So now this is our way of trying to level the playing fields. Make sense?